die hours apart, but the shocking moment at their funeral stunned everyone. Jamal and Jalen Rivers were more than just twins. They were best friends, business partners, and inseparable since birth. Born just minutes apart in Atlanta, Georgia, they grew up sharing everything: clothes, dreams, and even a love for music. By the time they turned 30, they had co founded a successful nonprofit that mentored young black men in their community. Tragically, both brothers died on the same day, but in entirely different cities. Jamal passed away from a sudden heart attack in Chicago, where he was giving a motivational speech. Jalen died in a car accident in Atlanta only 6 hours later, while rushing to the airport to see his brother in the hospital after hearing the news. Their double funeral was held just a week later, drawing hundreds from all over the country. Friends, family, former students, and even local politicians came to honor the legacy of the twin brothers who had changed so many lives. But no one expected what would happen next. As the service reached its final prayer, the pastor paused and signaled to the AV team. The lights dimmed, and a video began playing on the large screen at the front of the church. It was a pre recorded message from the twins themselves, filmed just months earlier. In the video, Jamal and Jalen sat side by side, smiling. "If you're seeing this," Jamal said, "it means we've moved on." "But don't cry," Jalen added. "Celebrate, because we lived our dream together." They spoke about their journey, their faith, and their love for their family and community. And then came the twist. Jalen looked directly into the camera and said, "To the young men we mentored, we left you something." Suddenly, ushers began moving through the crowd, handing out sealed envelopes. Inside each one was a scholarship acceptance letter, created by the twins before their deaths, part of a fund they had been building in secret. Over 50 young black men would now be able to attend college tuition free, thanks to Jamal and Jalen's final act of love. By the time the video ended, the entire church was in tears, not of sorrow, but of awe. They may have died on the same day, but their legacy would live on forever. Would you like a YouTube thumbnail? Short version for so after the emotional double funeral of Jamal and Jalen Rivers, the scholarship program they left behind was already changing lives. Dozens of young men who had once doubted their future were now planning for college, many for the first time in their families. But among the 50 envelopes handed out at the funeral, one stood out. It belonged to a shy 17-year-old named Marcus Hill, a quiet teen who had been mentored by the twins since he was 12. He was the kind of kid the twins saw themselves in: brilliant but overlooked, passionate but weighed down by poverty. Inside Marcus's envelope wasn't just a scholarship letter. There was a handwritten note scribbled in Jalen's signature bold handwriting. "Marcus, if you're reading this, then our time was cut short, but your journey is just beginning. Go to the address on the back of this letter. You'll understand why we believed in you so much." Confused but curious, Marcus borrowed a ride from his uncle and drove across town to the address. What he found left him speechless. It was a small recording studio, fully equipped, professionally designed, with a sign on the door that read, "The Hill House Studio for Marcus, built by the Rivers twins." Jamal and Jalen had secretly spent their final year building Marcus his own space to create music, something he had always dreamed of but never dared say out loud. They had even recorded a message for him, stored on a flash drive inside the studio's sound booth. "This world needs your voice, Marcus," Jamal said on the recording. "Make sure it's heard," Jalen added. Marcus fell to his knees, overwhelmed with emotion. He started producing music just weeks later, but not for fame. Instead, he opened the studio to other kids in the neighborhood, offering them a safe space to express themselves, just like the twins had done for him. From the grave, Jamal and Jalen had not only created a scholarship fund, they had planted a legacy of purpose, power, and possibility. And through Marcus, the world was just beginning to hear it. Months passed, and Marcus Hill's life had transformed. The studio gifted to him by the late Jamal and Jalen Rivers had become more than a place for music. It became a sanctuary for lost youth. Kids came after school, on weekends, even late at night, just to escape the streets and find a piece of themselves in sound. But one night, as Marcus was reorganizing files on the studio computer, he noticed a folder he hadn't seen before. It was buried deep, labeled simply Rivers Final Track. Inside was a single audio file. No date, no title. Curious, Marcus clicked play. A soft piano melody filled the studio. Then Jamal's voice came through, not in conversation, but in a rap. Raw, emotional, and intimate. If you're hearing this now, then we're gone from the fight. But our purpose was music, our mission was light. We saw something in you that the world tried to dim, so we built you a space, so your truth could begin. Then Jalen's voice came in, softer, almost like a whisper. You're more than a student, you're the start of the song. And when you find your voice, the people will sing along. Marcus sat frozen. He realized this wasn't just a message, it was a challenge, a baton passed. Inspired, Marcus added his own verse to the track, pouring his pain at his gratitude and his hope into every bar. Then he uploaded the finished song, titled Legacy, to a streaming platform. Within days, the track exploded. People from all over the country began listening, sharing, and learning about the Rivers Twins. Media outlets picked up the story. Interviews followed. Donations to the Rivers Foundation skyrocketed. More scholarships were funded. More studios were built. And Marcus? He didn't chase fame. He stayed in the neighborhood, turning Hill House Studio into a citywide movement. By the end of the year, over 200 kids had recorded their first songs, free of charge. The twins may have died on the same day, but thanks to one hidden track, their mission was now immortal. And Marcus? He wasn't just their student anymore. He was their echo turned down. 1 year after Jamal and Jalen Rivers' passing, their dream was alive and thriving. Hill House Studio had mentored hundreds of kids. The legacy track by Marcus had become a national anthem of hope, played in schools, youth centers, and even during halftime at NBA games. But not everyone was proud. One evening, as Marcus locked up the studio, he noticed something chilling, a car idling across the street with its headlights off. He didn't think much of it until 2 nights later. At 3:14 a.m., Hill House Studio went up in flames. Neighbors rushed to call the fire department. Marcus, who lived nearby, arrived just in time to watch the roof collapse. Tears streamed down his face. The studio, their legacy, was gone, or so he thought. When the smoke cleared and the ashes cooled, firefighters pulled Marcus aside. One of them had found something in the debris, something strange. It was a steel fireproof box wedged beneath the floorboards of the sound booth. Inside, a handwritten letter sealed in plastic, signed by Jamal and Jalen Rivers. It was dated 6 months before their deaths. If this place ever falls, we pray someone finds this, because the world can break buildings, but it can't burn purpose. Attached to the letter was a USB drive labeled Blueprints. Marcus rushed to his laptop. What he found took his breath away. 3D renderings, business plans, and funding layouts for 5 more studios across the country. It was their master plan all along. They had called it Project Echo. The studio hadn't just been a gift, it was the prototype for a national movement, a way to give underserved youth access to music, mentorship, and purpose, no matter where they lived. That fire didn't destroy their dream, it ignited it. Today, Hill House Studios exist in 5 major cities: Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, and Oakland, each carrying the motto carved into the original studio's wall. We speak for the ones who were never heard. And Marcus? He now leads the National Rivers Legacy Foundation, but he still records tracks with the kids every weekend. Because some flames destroy, but others